Spurs West Ham was an interesting one, mate. If you think of the kind of heat that was on Ange Postecoglou after the defeat just before the break, and then West Ham team who we haven't quite worked out under Lopetegui. Well, they certainly went Spurs' way. Spurs 4-1. I think 3 goals in a 7-8 minute spell for Spurs actually put paid to West Ham, who actually went 1-0 up in this game, surprisingly enough. Kudos with the goal, who was heavily involved in all sorts of shenanigans going on later. Well, should we give a bit of praise to Spurs first? Because there was a little bit of a spotlight on Ange and his team. And remember the shot of him looking into the distance, fans behind him last time out against Brighton.
Yeah, I for me, see, I get it when you have bad results and a shocker like that where they lose 3 goals like that. I get the pressure's on, but I've always enjoyed what he's trying to do. And I did a little breakdown of the goals against Brentford, Brighton, Rob, and it wasn't really about those goals against Brighton weren't about going gung-ho and getting caught on a counter-attack and being outnumbered. And it was just poor, basic defending of not engaging. And when they conceded the first goal, I'm like, Destiny Udogie, who's such a good player, and he ended up having a good game, but he gets caught. He gets done round the outside. He has a chance to get goal side. He doesn't. He gets beat round the outside. Was it Jared Bowen that beat round the outside? It was. And it's like, that's it. Like, that's it. So I'm like, that's got to frustrate the manager. Now, fair play. He made a big change at halftime, Rob, which is we should talk about it a little bit. James Maddison, who has that little role similar to Kulusevski, he's become less effective. He's not going to give you too much defensively where Kulusevski is. Papsar came on. Papsar, and from when Papsar came on, the game went really well. He can still create, he can still pass, but he's got a big engine. He can defend a little bit. He can help Udogie on that side if he's having a tough time. So I like the substitution. It might be, obviously Maddison won't want to hear it, but it might be a better blend, back to my midfield 3 blend to have him instead of having the 2 out-and-out attackers. Kulusevski, by the way, is playing the football of his life in that midfield position, the right of a midfield central 3, instead of being the wide side. I mean, he scores kind of from the wider area, but he's playing really well. So an excellent second half. I enjoy what Spurs do going forward. Now whether they need to tweak the balance of it, we'll wait and see. But this has got to feel good to the Spurs fans, the team, the manager, that when they're on their game, they create and they score a little bit. Apart from the first moment with Udogi's poor defending, other than that, they were pretty safe and secure.
Sonny back in the team gives them a lift down that side, another threat. Johnson's much more
confident now, Rob, isn't
confident and settled into the group. But let's quickly just touch the Maddison thing, mate, because he's a strange carrier, James Maddison, isn't he? I mean, he came into the football club at the start of last season and was so well, was a big part of what they were doing. You must feel like one of the first names on the team sheet, and then something seems to go wrong. It's happened a little bit in his Leicester days. There's moments when certain big games you never saw him, and then he seems to have had a moment again where, the team balance looks better. Now, the problem with James Maddison, and he's such a technically gifted player, that if he's not making goals, scoring goals, or dominating the game for you, there isn't an awful lot else.
Right.
And in modern day football, mate, we used to have players in, we were the Wimbledon team where we were all at it. But every now and then the gaffer would bring in a player who was a bit, let's say, luxury, where he wouldn't have to do quite so much work, but you better cross and do this and do that. I get the sense James Maddison is that guy, but modern day football doesn't allow luxuries anymore. Doesn't allow you to carry any passengers. The best teams in the league don't carry any passengers. You still have to do your hard work and your defensive stuff.
For the most part, but I agree with you. So like your Cole Palmers, or it used to be David Silva or Kevin De Bruyne. They sometimes still get away, but we're talking about players that deliver. Odegaard, but so. I know what you mean, and those luxury players work a little harder, but there is a little license. Let's go back to the balance
because they're so good.
Because they're so good. So back to your point, if he's not doing it, then it kind of stands out a little bit. And also the last. Remember, Leicester got relegated, and he got left out the side a lot.
Yeah, he got left out one of the big games at Newcastle when they needed to win. Dean Smith left him on the bench. It was like, what?
That's it. Yeah, there might be a little question mark about his mental toughness, Rob, which isn't talked about much, and you don't really see it too much on when you're watching your game at home on the TV.
It's harder to value, isn't it? Yeah,
but it's such a blooming important part of it, and maybe in times where he's not doing a lot on the ball, he can do better to play his way into the game. Play your way into the game by working hard, making a couple of tackles and get involved again. So, something to talk about.
It's a good shout, and something just to keep an eye on, really, in terms of Maddison. The gauntlet's slowing down now, and he's a bit out of the England picture as well. So he's got to sort of get back down to Gracie's start with that hard work, and hopefully the rest of his game will continue.
Give me a bit of West Ham.
Just a quick line on West Ham, mate, because worrying for the Hammers. It's a midfield, mate, that doesn't... okay, if they've got the ball, they might be okay. Without the ball, you can run through them. Yeah. They've lost the resilience. I know David Moyes wasn't the most exciting footballer, but his teams have a little bit about them. They've lost that resilience. I dare say now, and it was... I read a line, Rob, that I can't steal for myself, but it was almost like if West Ham signed Erling Haaland this week, somehow Mikel Antonio would still be starting up front. It's like, whatever happens at West Ham, Mikel Antonio, who's been a brilliant servant and can play in a number of positions, still shouldn't be leading the line at West Ham United if West Ham United think they're going to be a top 8 club and trying to challenge and break into the top 6. I think there's a lot of issues for Lopetegui. It doesn't look to me, Rob, and I'm going to give you a big, broad, like me looking from the outside, doesn't look like the players are bought into it yet.
Yeah, maybe. I'll tell you what I would say on the positive side. I do like the fact that they're settled defensively. And by the way, I can't disagree. Second half, really poor West Ham. First half looked pretty comfy. Yeah, looked pretty comfy. We know they got a little bit of talent, on counter attack. Second half disappointed me. It just. Gosh, they set themselves up to be counter-attacking. There's a little bit of strength there. Guido Rodriguez in the middle of the park, 30 years of age, problem. That's just a problem.
Can't get around the pitch.
He can't get around. Thomas Souček will help, of course, and Paquetá at times comes back, but he's more of a talented player. But I do like the fact that they've got a back four now, Rob. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Todibo's done very well. Max Kilman's a very good central defender in Emerson. Not mega elite, but that's a decent back four. I don't mind.
That needs a bit of protection, though, Rob, doesn't it?
Yes.
It's got to have a bit of protection.
There's more work to be done. Before we forget, let's talk about Mohamed Kudus. He scores a goal, I think, in the 19th minute. And then second half, maybe out of frustration, I mean, he punches he slaps a couple of people in the face.
He kicks it. Well, he kicks it at Van der Ven twice. Then he pushes him in the face.
And then Pape Sarr gives one as well.
Pape Sarr, I mean, he's looking at a long ban, mate.
Do you think they'll add extra games to that?
I think they'll add a game. They'll add a game to that. Yeah, he was out of control. He was out of control. He's putting his hands in somebody's face. You can't just allow that to happen. And it smacks of frustration to me. I don't know if he feels he's being inhibited. He's not playing in the right role, or I don't know. But not a good look for him, not a good look for West Ham. They're going to miss him for a load of games, and he's an important player, Rob. He's a good player.
Yeah, he's a good player.
For me, score goals.
There'll be a little bit of heat that comes on Lopetegui. I hope it's not too much heat. He is new. It's a very different style to David Moyes.
Absolutely.
Give him some time. He's trying to pull this team together. There has been moments this season. I guess they're now kind of well into the bottom half of the table, but that was a difficult game at Spurs, and they proved they're not quite ready. But I think you're right. Protection in midfield wasn't good enough, and just very slow and passive in the second half. But fair play to Spurs, Rob. That's a good bounce back from that Brighton loss.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host of NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And if you want even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock.